YTV was on an upward trajectory thanks in no small part to original game shows like Video and Arcade Top 10. But they were about to follow it with an even bigger hit and unleash one of the strangest shows of all time.
For those people who had not seen Uh-Oh, there were 3 teams of 2. One partner would participate and the other partner would be in this cylinder.
Kids were put in a tank and their partner had to answer a question. And if the partner got it right, they would get 50 or 75 points, which on that show was a lot of points. If they got it wrong, a character that we created called the Punisher, massive guy wearing a horror mask, would dump buckets of goo on the contestant's head.
We would slime them. It was a fantastic show. In the end, the winner would win some fabulous prizes, but the whole premise was sliming these little kids.
And nobody called anybody about this? Like, you watched this and you thought this was okay? I was uncomfortable. When you have a gimp pouring slime on children.
And that's what people remember most about the show. They don't remember the prizes. They don't remember how clever the questions were. That's what I put on my resume, that, I created a show where kids get crap dumped on their heads.
This was just actual slime that they made in buckets, and we would have a ton of slime ready to go. It smelled rank.
I don't know the magic recipe.
Flour, water, food coloring, and a secret element. I cannot tell you.
I will say this, it is dolphin friendly, and that's as far as I can go.
It's a closely guarded secret, but
I will walk out of this interview if you keep pushing me on what was in the slime. They're watching.
Uh-Oh evolved from another YTV show called It's Alive.
And what It's Alive was, it was a mixture of comedy sketches, live performances from musical guests, interviews.
Are you having problems relating to your child's generation?
It was kind of like a Saturday Night Live for kids. YTV wanted to put together a cast.
I think it had some of the best comedy and best elements of its time, bar none.
We started putting game shows into the show.
Hey, you call yourself a host?
And one of the little sketches was called Uh-Oh.
Send that way out.
When It's Alive was canceled, I said, well, let's see if we can develop a game show. The application will read, wanted writer for game show must be called Frank Young. Frank Young wrote the original sketch for Uh-Oh.
I got a call, would I like to come in and see about developing a game show? Just Rick and I, and sure.
Rick Watts came up to me and asked, would you be interested in doing a spin-off, Uh-Oh? And of course, as an out-of-work actor at the time, looking for a paycheck, I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to do that.
The people who worked on that show and the people who work in kids' television are the people who can remember what they liked when they were a kid.
The characters were so complex and so different. There was myself and Tara and Aaron, who were the masters of mayhem. We were kind of the sporty 2 of the show. There was Quizster Patricia, who was always dressed to the nines and had her hair and makeup. Then Scott Yaphe, who played Wink Yahoo. He was always in character and so much fun, and people were just drawn to him.
Wink Yahoo is self-explanatory. The ultimate exaggeration, loud jackets, hair that was 1.5 miles high. Scott Yaphe or Wink was just perfect.
Now, everyone can't go home with the gold, but who's it going to be? Blue, green, or red? Slime will flow right after this, so don't go away.
I had a lot of liberty of kind of exploring what I wanted to do with it.
The cast were basically their own directors.
I wanted to be really smarm, over the top, real cheese, and it kind of came easy. I don't know if I should, in retrospect, fear that. The hair was almost as iconic as the suit jackets and the set.
He would arrive to set before anybody else to get that hair. That hair, it was so tall, and I remember I'd walk in and he'd be upside down and they'd be blow drying his hair and spraying it upside down. That wasn't a wig.
The show really was run by Wink Yahoo. He was the center of the show, and kids loved him. And the thing about Wink was he wasn't exactly a caricature of a game show host. He was more a caricature of a cartoon game show host, because the whole show was very cartoonish if you look at the colors.
They were all very young. They were starting their career.
I'd already spent time on Brainwash, which I played a guy named Ed Brainbin in between all the cartoons on Saturday and Sunday morning. And so when YTV created Uh-Oh, they said, oh, you'd be perfect for Slime Tour. So let's make you Slime Master Sean. So these were the early days of me getting any kind of experience working in television.
Now, what's missing in our menu? Only one thing. Check, please. The Punisher.
And of course, the Punisher. You can't think of Uh-oh without thinking of the Punisher, dressed in black leather.
We had to have a villain.
Who wants to get slime? I am. Actually, my name's Mike Beaver. How you doing?
I always knew we were on the edge with that, but it was, I think, the best thing we did.
On the bucket, they'd always have on the label what the Punisher says. 8 times out of 10, I would just make it up. And no one seemed to care, and I got away with quite a bit.
There were times when he threw kids into the pools of water where we said, oh, there's a lawsuit.
He'd grab a kid, sleeper hold, pulling hair, throw them in the tank.
I would probably get arrested if I did it today.
I would be enormously surprised if any show could have a Punisher these days. But nothing ever happened. The kids like it. They bounce back. I don't think we ever damaged anyone.
Kind of method acted the whole thing. I was the Punisher, and they were the helpless children.
I don't know whether he's a method actor or not, but he was a Punisher on and off screen.
Mike Beaver lived to punish others. I'm glad I wasn't there in the room, because I would have defended those children, because we didn't do that in the Slime Tour. We took care of our kids.
One element they added was taking the show across the country.
It was a way of including the whole country.
We would get into a town and they would embrace us. When we were in Dawson, they closed the main street and the whole town came out to watch and participate.
And there'd be 50, 100 people out in a park in the middle of Fredericton.
We were a little troop of 22 that just went across the country.
And the Slime Tour would begin with Sean introducing the 3 different aspects of the tour. One might be having to break balloons.
We were the heart and soul of that show. I don't care what anybody says. Without the Slime Tour, Uh-oh would be nothing.
A bit of a stretch, but it was, I think, an important part of the show.
Maybe it would be 2.5 minutes shorter, but still.
We would bring 3 Slime Masters on the tour. By the 3rd year, they would be stars. The lineups for autographs from Sean, kids would just be in awe that they were right there in their own backyard.
The Slime Tour brought the fun of Uh-Oh to all of Canada, even its most remote corners.
We made a point of going to the smaller centers outside the bigger centers, and that's what made it so great.
People were sending us letters, please bring the Slime Tour to Lethbridge. The whole country believed in this game show.
I've seen it from Dawson City, Yukon. I even got to Tuktoyaktuk. Traveling the country with the Slime Tour is the oddest way anyone could travel and see this great and huge country.
I got to see the greatest country in the world, from top to bottom, east to west, and everywhere in between.
After an historic run, Uh-Oh drew to a close, with a final airing in 2003.
Every good thing must come to an end, and Uh-Oh had its run. It was one of those moments that we learned as actors that you can't control things.
To hear the show was coming to an end, it was heartbreaking. We did 200 episodes. I never thought it would go this far.
As things work out in life, is that when one door closes, another one opens.
I've had a pretty great career, man. I'm really stoked about all the things that I was able to do after Uh-Oh. More people know me probably from Uh-Oh than they do any of the other things that I've done. Like when I'm walking down the street, I'll get people who are like, you were. And then, it comes out that I'm Russell Peters. And I go, no, I'm not Russell Peters.
I was doing different acting roles, commercials, movies, TV shows, but at the same time I was doing radio. I fell in love with it, and now I'm teaching radio at Mohawk College in Hamilton.
Lots of good doors open, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be today. Having my passion in metaphysics turn into my present-day career, which is energy healing and spiritual guidance. I saw the universe work its magic in action, putting me on sets where I was supposed to meet certain people. Somebody introduced me to a form of energy healing called Reiki. It's an ancient Japanese healing modality where Reiki in Japanese, Rei means higher intelligence, and Ki means universal life force energy. When a client comes in, sometimes they're surprised that Wink Yahoo is the one who's doing it. You look familiar, or I thought I recognized you, and I'm not one to say, oh yeah, by the way, I used to play
Uh-oh has endured as a source of nostalgia for an entire generation, coast to coast.
The popularity after the fact is fascinating to me.
They remember the mess, they remember the insanity of it, which makes me kind of proud. It was unlike anything else on TV.
When you can make something that makes kids go, it makes no sense whatsoever, I love it. That's the brilliance of a show like that.
As long as they ran home from school, I'm happy.